And now Justin, who is
Thank
our
you.
teacher.
Well, I remember almost exactly a year ago, I guess it probably was, sitting exactly where you are and hearing, well, certainly Lucy and Katie giving similar speeches. And as a result of that, I did decide to take up teaching, and I'm now halfway through my training year actually at ARC Bolingbroke, teaching physics. A bit of background about me first. So basically what I'll do is I'll tell you a little bit about me before I started teaching. I'll tell you a little bit about my experiences of teaching, which do chime quite well with Katie, Lucy and Rebecca, but maybe add a little bit more to that. And then talk a little bit about what Now Teach has done for me specifically, because I think that's actually quite an important part of becoming a teacher when you're older. So first of all, a little bit about me. So I spent 30 years working mostly for Reuters and Thomson Reuters in sort of financial markets, data and software. And I did some quite big jobs, sort of managing large numbers of people, global teams, all that kind of thing, travelling around, including a few years in New York and Sydney, so quite challenging jobs. I've got two kids who are 29 and 25, and a very understanding wife, fortunately. So a little bit about teaching. I guess the first thing I would say is what the previous speakers have said about it being challenging is absolutely right. It is really, really hard work. And I mean, I always used to be sort of pride myself in being pretty good at managing my work-life balance. And I remember many colleagues of mine saying, "You're really good at this. You don't seem to kind of take too much work home at the weekend, and you manage to do a demanding job without spending really, really long hours at work, etc." Well, I found that a lot harder with teaching. Actually, interestingly, mostly for very positive reasons. The fact is that every day things happen to you which will make you laugh and maybe cry, but certainly laugh. And they make the most wonderful stories when you're talking to your families or friends. And you do tend to spend quite a lot of time outside school talking about what you've been doing, which can get a bit tedious for other people sometimes, although they mostly find it really interesting. But the fact is, it is really fun and engaging, and you want to talk about it. The other thing is that you will get very attached to the children. And the fact is that you can have a big impact on the children's lives. A lot of them have quite difficult lives, and you can make a big difference to them. And that is a big responsibility, and it's something that I think certainly makes me work very long hours, because I'm thinking, well, if I can just teach this difficult bit of physics really well to this child, maybe they'll get interested in it and they'll really engage with school, they'll be successful. And you think about that many, many times every day. And it does make it a very demanding but very satisfying job, but something that you will spend a lot of time thinking about. I remember Lucy telling me that she'd woken up in the middle of the night several times and thought, oh God, I'm thinking about this lesson planning. I thought, I'll never do that. Well, I do. Often. So it is really demanding, very satisfying. The bit about having a coach who's younger than your children, absolutely true. My oldest son's 29, my coach is 26, and he's wonderful and really, really supportive. And like most of the other people that I work with, almost all the other people I work with, incredibly helpful, very supportive, always got time to talk to you about, maybe what you did wrong in that lesson, but also, what they did wrong in that lesson that maybe you could learn from, etc. I mean, really very supportive colleagues. Well, I've always sort of had good colleagues at previous jobs, but teachers are pretty special actually, and they do find time to help you as a trainee. Lastly, I think on Now Teach, I think Now Teach has helped me in two very specific ways, which are really important. So the first one is about this stage, trying to work out how you get into teaching, whether you want to get into teaching, and actually helping you through a lot of the nitty-gritties, because beware, there are quite a lot of admin steps you've got to get through to become a teacher, starting with finding your O-level certificates, which is not easy. And being told that you're going to have to do that 3 months in advance is actually really helpful. So there are lots of things like that early on, where Now Teach is really incredibly important. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't be teaching if Now Teach hadn't been there and helped me through some of those steps. I'd probably have given up. But rest assured, it is perfectly possible to get through it. These things are tricky, but they are completely manageable. It's just a question of having a bit of help to get through it. The second thing is actually about how I feel about it now. So right now, Now Teach is hugely helpful because I've got a group of people like you who have decided to take up teaching, who are now teaching in other schools, and I get to talk to them on a regular basis, share war stories, share things that have gone really well, gone really badly, and with an audience and colleagues who actually understand where I'm coming from. And that is so important. I mean, colleagues at school are wonderful, really helpful, really supportive, but every now and then it is really good to be able to go and talk to someone else who's got as many grey hairs as you have, and also has got the same sorts of experiences and background. So I think that's been incredibly useful. Thank you so much.